to What's Going On with Lady D today. I'm your host, Lady D. Well, welcome to What's Going On with Lady D today. I'm your host, Lady D. And today we have no other than Cleveland's own exceptional filmmaker, Mr. Kevin Taylor. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing today?
I am good. And you?
Excellent, excellent.
Good.
So, without further ado, because this is so exciting, I'm so honored to have you on the show because you are truly making a difference. And it's not just only because it's Black history, but this young man is doing it every day. He's getting it and going with it. So I want you to tell our listeners something about yourself, because I know there's a lot.
What I'm most proud of is being a dad. So can I start there? I got
Yes.
two beautiful children. I got the new and improved Kevin, and then my daughter Amina. So that's really what I like the world to know about. I'm a filmmaker. I started out in music, but those things come secondary to the love of my lives, my family.
Okay, family first, and that's important.
Yeah.
So may I ask, are your children, or is anybody following in your footsteps right now?
That's funny you should ask. My son is actually in the most recent film that I just shot. This is his first time acting as an adult. He did it when he was a kid, and I was telling him about the project I was working on, and I said, hey, there's a part in there that goes, right in line with what you do, because he does music. He's doing music as well.
Okay.
I said, right in line with what you do. And then I said, you want to try it out? And he said, I'll give it a try, and wound up being one of the characters in the film.
Excellent. And so may I ask, what type of music is your son doing?
He does a lot of R&B and hip-hop.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
A lot of R&B production and hip-hop. A lot of his music has wound up in my films in the past.
Excellent. So I want to ask you, tell us about what has inspired you to create this film and what message, and let's first tell them what is the name of the new film that you have out.
The film is called Life on Track, and it is basically a story that was conceived by Dennis Bodie.
Okay.
And if you know that name, Bodie is the family that had the Bodie recording studio on Union back in the day. It was a very popular recording studio.
Wow.
A lot of artists came through there, Aretha Franklin, Sonny and Cher, Lou Rawls. And so we're telling a tale about a character. His name is Zoe, and it's about Zoe in 2024 trying to find his way into the music industry.
Okay.
So when the story begins, he just lost his best friend, and so he's trying to decide if he even still wants to consider music, because they used to write music together. And he happens upon this Bodie recording studio spot, and he learns the history of that place, and the movie goes from there.
Oh, wow, that's going to be very exciting. So I want to ask you, so what inspired you to create this film?
Well, actually, you see this right here on my shirt, Art of Me?
Yes.
Art of Me is an organization, it's a nonprofit organization that has spent many years doing work within schools where they sit down with young people and help them craft stories about things in their lives. And then they take those stories and they're put in a reviewing process, and then one of the stories gets turned into a feature film. So that was what Art of Me was doing for a number of years. And then last year they instituted a piece where they work with senior citizens. So they go into the senior citizens' home and they talk to them about different stories. And last year, our first film that we did with them was called Stream This.
Okay.
And this year, Life on Track came out of that.
That's awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, the Art of Me the founder. We are so sorry that she's not able to join us today,
Yeah.
but her name is Stephanie. You want to talk about Stephanie
Absolutely.
Lassiter?
She started out doing this type of work for another organization back in the day, and when that organization moved on, she decided, you know what, this work is important. I want to start my own situation. So she started Artemy, and Stephanie Lassiter is her name.
Yes.
And like I said, she goes into schools, works with the young people. She's been doing this for some years now, and she gives a lot of people opportunity to tell their stories. Not only does she work with young people to help tell their stories, but it also helps to employ a lot of filmmakers in the city of Cleveland. So I'm one of the directors for the film Life on Track, but there's another film also called Zacchaeus Dance,
Okay.
which is another film. Stephanie has managed to make 2 feature films each year. Last year she did 2, and this year 2. And so Zacchaeus Dance is about dance,
Okay.
about a young lady dealing with some health issues that turn into an opportunity for dance. And then this one is the musical piece.
Great, great, great. So now what type of dance is she doing? Is it jazz dancing, modern dancing, ballet, or shall we wait and see?
Well, I was about to say, I think there's all different types of dance in this film, but I'm just like you. I'm excited to see that one because I was busy making this one over here while another young lady was making that one over there. So I'm interested to see how that one turns out as well.
That's going to be great. And then where can we see this?
So both films will be screening March 2nd, actually, in a few days, not too long, maybe a week or so, at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History over on One Wade Oval, right over there by all the museums.
And that date is March 2nd?
March 2nd.
All right, so please come on out and check the movie out because you're going to really be in to a real delightful treat. I would like to ask you, can you share some insights into your creative process, including how you approach storytelling?
Sure. So, one of the first things I learned about filmmaking is you tell the stories you know. Tell something about something you know. So, my early films were probably based around things that I had a close relationship to the concept or whatever. But over time, you just learn to really do research, right? You learn to, my process to be actual, to get down to it is, if I'm telling a story about anything, I'll create a folder on my computer and I'll just start dumping all of the information that I find in regards to that story. And sometimes that'll lead me to putting music in there that I think is closely related. It'll lead me to putting the colors that I think the film, relates to, any articles, any stories, or any conversations I've had. I put it all in this folder, and then I start building my world, this world for this film within that folder.
So this is a real process. What is the timeline? How long does something like that would take you?
Oh, some movies take years, some things are just ideas that you put into a document, and then through conversations or through news reports or something, you go, you know what, it might be time to create that film now because there's some things going on with that. So sometimes it takes a long time. Sometimes, God just pours into you and you become the vessel that it comes out pretty quick. I've written scripts relatively fast, but a lot of times the whole process can take probably a good 6 months at the indie filmmaking level.
Okay.
Sometimes, a year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you have done some work with some of our wonderful Cleveland filmmakers around town, like one,
Absolutely.
Mike Berry.
Absolutely. That's my guy.
Yes. You worked on The State of Mind?
We worked on State of Mind, and we also did Grace and Mercy.
Grace and Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that was really good too. Excellent, excellent. So let me ask you here.
Real quick, The Effects is a film that me and Mike also worked on with Stephanie Lassiter. That was one of her first entries into, presenting through Artemy a few years back.
Can you tell me a little bit more? When did Artemy come about?
So that's a Lassiter question, but I think it was like in the last maybe 6, 7 years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And how long have you been doing what you do?
Oh, wow. I started out in music, so I did that since I was a little guy. My family, started out just sitting on the bench watching my father and my aunts and them play the piano and the organ and things like that. So I've been doing music somewhat professionally since I was 13. I released my first record around the age of about 16, but I was in the studios at 13 working on stuff and producing music for other people.
What was the name of your first record? Out of curiosity.
Don't go looking for this one. My very first record was called Can't Be With You, and it played on the radio so much I got tired of it. But it featured Eddie Backus Jr., believe it or not, on saxophone way back in the day. Yep.
Yeah.
And then the first big record that everybody might remember, I was in a group called KT Silk and the Big Man, and we had a record called Pillow Talk that became a national record, and it also was the theme song for a lot of Quiet Storm radio stations back in the day, most importantly, Cleveland 93 FM.
Yes, I remembered. I love Quiet Storm.
Yes.
What was it on Sunday nights, Sunday evenings? They would come on with Quiet Storm, and it was just a nice way of winding down from the whole week and getting to listen to some real romantic. Take you there.
Absolutely. When Pillow Talk came around, we actually, my group KT Silk and the Big Man, we had already done a complete album, and we were just trying to figure out how we gonna get the radio station to play our music.
Right.
So I had this idea. You know what? They got that show called Pillow Talk. Let's make a theme song. So we made this song in an effort to give a gift to the station as like, here's a theme song. Maybe if you like it, you could use it. And so they liked it so much, they started playing it regular rotation during the day. So we had to differentiate what the regular song was versus the theme song. So that made us make a remix. And so that record got a lot of traction for us. And that was the way we entered into this Quiet Storm world.
That is really awesome. Let me ask you, so if someone, I know a lot of our young adults now, the doors are open and they have so many stories to tell, and I find that they tell their stories through music. How important is that to keep music and filmmaking into our colleges today? Because I was on my way here, I was listening to maybe WCPN, and they were talking about how they're talking about taking away those programs.
Yeah, they've been taking them away and putting them back and taking them away and putting them back for years. I think the back and forth is because they realize how important the arts are to life in general. Art imitates life, life imitates art, and we see things come out of art. A lot of inventions come out of art. For me specifically, I've thought of ideas that I really wanted to see if I could introduce it into the world or invent it or something, but it got so big of an idea that I was like, I don't have the resources or the knowledge to do this thing, but what I do have is this camera, and maybe I can tell a story, and maybe that'll spark the inventor or the person who does have the researches to, create that into the world. And I see that a lot with art. The way that people dream, comes through poetry, comes through paintings, comes through music and film. And we know that dreams can come true. That's not just a Disney slogan. Dreams come true because people pursue their dreams, and we see new things entered into the world. So I think art is majorly important. Creativity is majorly important. Without creativity, I don't care what kind of doctor, lawyer, or anything you are, when you're on the spot, you have to be creative. And some of that information isn't in a school book. It's how do you think about things and what would you do in that situation. So art is very important to me.
And that's very genuine because, as you said, everything is not in a book because we are all gifted with a talent. And so it's up to you to explore, find out what it is that you're really good at, and hone in on that.
Absolutely. I always tell people, too, when you watch American Idol, it is never the person who runs on the stage, I'm going to be the next American Idol, I'm great, I'm great, I'm great. I tell people, when you're looking for what your hidden talent is or what your special talent is, pay attention to the thing that everybody can't help telling you. If every time you walk out the door and somebody says, you know what, you should be a model. You are gorgeous. You should be a model. The way you walk, the way you do this, you should be a model. Think about that. If somebody's sitting in church and you got two people, somebody gets up and sings a solo.
Yes.
And everybody is like sitting there stoic, like it didn't move them, it didn't touch them. You might not be a soloist, but if every time you sing people crying and people can't help but say, you changed my life with that song, or this, that might be your talent. So it's usually that lady who's working in the diner somewhere, just singing a little tune every now and then, and her coworkers usher her to the American Idol. That's the one that wins the American Idol. It's never the person who's like, I'm the greatest singer ever.
Right.
You got to pay attention to what people gravitate to your energies from.
Yeah, because a lot of times others can see what you have within you versus you seeing, really coming to terms to accepting that is what you're good at. That's your gift.
I'm not saying don't believe in yourself. I'm not saying don't pursue things. I'm just saying try to match it up with reality. Like what really is the thing? You know, Michael Jordan, we wouldn't have that guy if he didn't believe in himself. You know, if he didn't pursue, he got denied a couple of good times of trying to be on a basketball team, but he kept at it. Right. Luther Vandross, he kept at it. Like, a lot of people didn't care for Luther before he got to his status, you know. So I'm not saying don't push yourself, don't believe in yourself, but you got to kind of marry it to what people are constantly saying. You know, you're good at that. You should look into that.
Yeah. So, and I'm quite sure people have told you what you're good at.
Oh.
So
and they told me what I'm not good at too. Absolutely.
So I want to ask you, so what challenges did you or have you faced in the production of making film?
Okay. Making film in general or this particular film?
Making film just in general, because you've made so many.
Yeah, the challenges are there. You know, I'm sure anybody who's ever pursued anything would tell you one of the early challenges is finances, right? You're trying to figure out where you're going to get your money, how you're going to get this made. But beyond money, the challenges are just rallying the troops. You got to get a lot of people on board to one person's vision sometimes. And when you know that all things are working well is when you see everything coming together. You got the right cast, you got the right cinematographer, you got the right locations and everything. When it's all coming together, then you still have that one goal in mind and everybody's pushing towards it. That's when you're winning. But there are a lot of challenges. Sometimes you know, again, I give the advice as a writer, you write the script. Just write what your idea is. Don't limit it to what you think you have access to or money or this, that, and the other. Write the best story you can write.
Okay.
But then what happens is once you get to the point where you're in production, you realize, oh, I can't access a castle. I don't have access to a castle. Maybe we'll use this nice house instead. Okay. I don't have a yacht. Maybe we'll use this boat instead. You know, so you have to scale it back. And this is a quote from Mike Berry. Mike Berry says this all the time. He says, there's the movie you write, the movie you make, and the movie you edit. And they all three are different. And that's absolutely true. Sometimes you have to look at what your resources are once you're in that production phase. And you make the best movie from there. And then that edit tells the story. The editor really gets to tell how that story comes out. So the challenges are vast. So when you see somebody make a complete work, if they can get something from the cradle to the grave, that's amazing in itself. I have no critique for anybody who's ever made a movie, because the work that is needed and the focus that's needed to get it done is amazing.
So the editing part is so important, to have a good editor.
Absolutely.
Because that could make a difference in what you are projecting.
Absolutely.
All right.
The more I do this business, it is so important to have a great everything, because the cameraman can mess it up, the audio person can mess it up, the actors, you know, but that editor, it comes down to that moment. That final moment is so important.
Tell me some of the most memorable experiences that you've had.
As soon as you said that, the one thing that popped in my brain, you know, I don't know if you know who Myron Davis is. Myron Davis is another gem in Cleveland.
Okay.
He started out as R&B artist, and he had an album years ago. He had a great record, Destiny. He's got a lot of great records. But when you said that, what popped in my mind, we were working on Grace and Mercy, and Myron Davis is also in film now. And so he was DPing. And it was a moment we were downtown shooting, and a homeless guy walked up, and this guy could sing, and he was just like singing while we're trying to shoot. So we're over here shooting, and you know, the scene is going on, and this guy keeps coming in singing, and we're like, cut. Well, who's doing that? What's going on? So the guy walks up, and I mean, you know, he sees a set, he sees lights and cameras, so he's gonna come and do his show, right?
Right.
But the coolest thing was Myron was not bothered. Myron and that guy just started up singing together. Myron was like, "What you got? Come on. He said, "You do the harmony part. You do this," and they just got to singing, and that was one of the coolest moments. And I have a video of it, but I've never put it up or anything because it was just something that was great for us as a cast to see how this guy, you saw this light come back in this man's eyes, you know, once he got an opportunity to perform and everything. Right. And I thought that was one of the coolest things that ever happened on film. Another cool thing that has happened, I've also worked on bigger films that have come to Cleveland, and I got a chance to really work with some great filmmakers that came through here.
Tell us, who are they? Well, give us,
the unfortunate thing is that I can never say this man's name. Maybe I'll send it to you so you can post it on the page. Okay. But he's a black filmmaker who has done a lot of great movies. His most recent movie that I love is Dope, the movie Dope.
Okay.
But he came here to do a commercial, a Nike commercial, and it was an all-black crew. Well, it wasn't an all-black crew. I'm saying the people that he brought in was all-black staff.
Okay.
From him on down, you know. So when we get here, unfortunately in Cleveland, a lot of times we have the issue where they don't just employ the black folks.
Right.
Especially when they're doing black projects. For me, I think, why would you not get black folks involved?
Yeah.
But I was one of the only black people on the set at the time. And he kind of noticed it. And he said, "Can you come in for a second? Do you know this, that, and the other about where we could find this, where we could find that?" So he pretty much empowered me to help him find all of these cool things in Cleveland, these cool cars. He was looking for a particular type of DJ. I knew a guy that was going to fit the description.
Right.
So it just kind of put me side by side with this director, and I got a firsthand look at what, he was doing on a bigger scale. And I thought that was one of the coolest things that ever happened to me. When I was on my journey of trying to become a filmmaker.
That's great. And I go back to your conversation of the homeless man sitting out there just singing. Mm-hmm. You never know where someone has been and why they've been there and what talents that they have inside of them.
Absolutely.
And you all made a change. You made a difference with him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because that was a highlight for him.
It was.
And he'll never forget that.
I don't think so. I think he had a great time. I mean, just the joy. He hung around that whole day. He just was excited to be on set.
And these scenes are wonderful because it is having wonderful memories that you can go back and relate to and also learn and grow from.
Yes.
And I really find that what you and Stephanie are doing is so important with our young adults today because they're all reaching and trying to find who they are.
Right.
I think we all are.
Absolutely.
So to give them this exposure is so important.
Yeah. The film itself is something that, how many young people get to say a part of their life story was told in a film, right? But the other part of it is they get to come out to this red carpet premiere and they get to suit up and, the night is about the young people. And there are so many young people employed that, like, they're working as either actors or crew and they're getting paid and they're getting to see it firsthand. So again, like you said, that memory goes a long way. Even if they don't pursue film anymore past that moment, they have this moment that they can, look back on whatever they go on and pursue in life, and they can, it gives them hope that I can do anything.
Yes, exactly, because you got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
You got to start somewhere. And so I would like for you to tell our listeners again the name of the movie and when it's going to be shown.
So there's two movies, Zacchaeus Dance and Life on Track, and they both will be screening March 2nd at the Cleveland Museum of Natural History. Cleveland Museum of Natural History. And the address is 1 Wade Oval, down by all of our great museums in Cleveland, and you can get tickets on artofme.org. So if you go to artofme.org, you can purchase your tickets, and I suggest you get them now because last year's event was a big one, and it sold out, and I'm sure this year is going to sell out just the same.
And that's going to be on March 2nd.
March 2nd.
March 2nd. So go get your tickets. Don't be left out, because I'm telling you, when our young filmmakers here in Cleveland produce something, it's a sellout.
Absolutely.
It is always a sellout.
Absolutely.
Red carpet is a sellout because you want to be there, and everybody else want to be there because you never know who's going to be there.
Absolutely. It's an event.
It's an event, and it's
event.
something to be celebrated. And I'm glad that we are giving our youth, that opportunity, because that's our future.
Absolutely.
And they will make a difference. So that's what's going on today. Thank you for tuning in with Lady D and Kevin Taylor.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're really welcome. Thanks for watching. Join us every Thursday, and you